So, during my last live stream, the topic of plastic surgery came up, and y'all informed me of a conversation that was happening on TikTok about the Whoville nose jobs and Black women rhinoplasties. And y'all also informed me that Glorilla, the rapper, got a nose job. So, I want to do a quick follow up and give my opinion on all of that. And by the way, I moved all of the content from my second channel to my website, and that will be my secondary content space for good. So if you are interested in my content that is not race related, definitely check out my website. Also, join my mailing list to be notified when new content drops. All of the links are in the description box. So let's get into the topic. So basically, a woman went viral on TikTok after sharing her nose job that did not look so good. And it sparked this whole discussion about Black women's nose jobs or rhinoplasties not being done properly. And literally, right after that happened, Glorilla revealed that she got a nose job. And unfortunately, her nose job also doesn't look good. And this whole conversation really just made me think of how a lot of women, regardless of race, have surgery blindness when they get their features modified. We've all heard of filler blindness. And I personally believe that Black women in particular have feature blindness when it comes to how they look, and that's with or without surgery. And it could even be a form of body dysmorphia. Now, obviously, I'm not qualified to diagnose anybody, but that's just what it seems like to me. And before any of you get upset and accuse me of attacking Black women, I am making this video to help some of you become more aware of your features and your appearance. And I feel like we've all been through that phase in our lives where we lack awareness when it comes to how we look. I went through that too when I was younger. So, it happens to the best of us. And I also want to make it clear that I am not totally against plastic surgery. I don't think all plastic surgery is anti Black or self hating, but I do think that many of us unfortunately have feature and surgery blindness due to Eurocentric beauty standards. And when it comes to Black women, I also think that it's the Black male beauty standards as well. A lot of us are trying to look good for Black men. And be clear, it's not just Black women who get these modifications to look good for men. It's every race of woman, but I am a Black woman. So right now I am speaking on us. And I do feel that some Black women are going too far with the body modifications, and we don't know when we look back. Again, it's like white women who get too much filler in their faces and in their lips, and they start to look older or they start to look disconfigured because the filler starts to migrate to other areas of their face and their body. They have filler blindness, and I really don't want this kind of lack of self-awareness to become the norm for Black women when it comes to surgeries and the modifications that we make to our bodies. Even when I look at most of the Black women who get rhinoplasties, in most cases, they look better before with their original nose. But women like that either have feature blindness or body dysmorphia, so they don't see that they looked better before. Or they just don't know when to stop when they start getting these plastic surgeries. This is very common with Black people who bleach their skin. They don't seem to know when their skin color starts to look too gray or ashy. There's a blind spot there, and they don't see what most people see. And the same applies to some Black women with these nose jobs, because instead of getting a smaller version of their natural nose, they're getting noses that are typically seen on white women and non-Black women, when that isn't necessary to make their face look better or more symmetrical, because I think that's the goal here, for their face to look more symmetrical and proportioned. And let's also be real about this. Most people aren't getting plastic surgery just for themselves, because I know some of you are going to say, oh, well, it's not about how other people feel, it's about how they feel about themselves. And that's true, but that's not the only reason most people get plastic surgery. They're also getting it to look better to other people and to get outside validation as well. And again, it's all about symmetry and proportion when it comes to faces that most people find attractive. It's not usually the actual shape or size of the features. So a person can be very pretty with big or full features. And you can also benefit from pretty privilege with big or full features. And I'm being totally genuine when I say this, but I think that most everyday Black women have symmetrical, attractive faces. Now, obviously, some are more or less attractive than others. But in general, I personally find the average everyday Black woman to be attractive. I don't think that surgery is necessary for most Black women. And I have seen Black women and just women in general where I'm like, okay, I can understand why they wanted to get, a little modification to their faces. So I'm not in denial. But before making any drastic changes, ladies, I personally recommend that you work with what you have and learn what looks best on your specific face and enhance what's already there if you want to look more attractive. Wear flattering hair and makeup. Keeping yourself at an average or fit weight also helps improve your facial features. But look, if you've done all that and you still decide to get plastic surgery, it should still be flattering. And if you have no idea what that means, then ask other people. Like, if you don't know how to enhance your beauty, ask other people, because even though I don't like how some of the black women were responding to that lady on TikTok, a lot of them were telling her the truth. Maybe before you get any drastic changes to your body or your face, you might want to ask the people online, because sometimes these plastic surgeons aren't going to tell you the truth. They're just going to give you what you want so they can take your money. And some of these plastic surgeons also aren't skilled in ethnic rhinoplasties. So sometimes it's a matter of them just not knowing what they're doing like that. But just ask somebody that's going to tell you the truth, what you're planning to do. Show them the pictures that you're going to show your surgeon and be like, hey, sis, would I look good with this nose? Would I look good with this lip filler? Would I look good with this breast size, with this new cup size? Would I look good if my butt were this big? Find some women that's going to tell you the truth before you go mess up your face, please. And I'm telling you now, when it comes to what is going to look the most flattering in terms of a rhinoplasty, your best bet is to get the smaller version of your natural nose. A subtle change is best. Patti LaBelle has a great nose job, in my opinion. Tiana Taylor has a decent nose job as well. And I think SZA had more than one nose job, but hers doesn't look terrible either. Like, I think the first one looked the best. But when it comes to SZA, I've seen worse. Now, many of you have said that Beyonce and Kelly Rowland have gotten nose jobs. I don't know about all that, but if they did, they look good. And I think all of those women I mentioned look good with their rhinoplasties because they went with a similar shape to their natural nose. They didn't try to make their noses look all pointy and upturned like the Whoville nose. A lot of Middle Eastern girlies also get their nose done. They get their dorsal hump removed or shaved off, or however you describe it, and they pretty much leave the rest alone, usually. That's what I mean by a subtle, natural-looking change. Now, I have seen some of them go overboard too, but if they stop right after the hump is removed, you can barely tell they had anything done unless they tell you. Personally, I think undetectable, natural-looking surgeries look the best, and in my opinion, that is where women like Glorilla, Money Long, Lil' Kim, that's where they all went wrong. The changes were too drastic and unnatural, and it had the opposite effect of what was intended. And I said before that botching your body or your face as a woman is a bad social strategy because you just come off as someone who lacks in self-awareness. And people may not take you seriously because of that. Unless you're really, really good at whatever you do career-wise, that's the only thing that really offsets stuff like that. Michael Jackson comes to mind. He was really, really good at his music. So even though people talked about him, like, he was still very good at what he did. So it was like, okay, yeah, he has plastic surgery, but he's still like the greatest musician of all time. If you're gonna botch yourself, you gotta at least be very, very good at what you do for a living. That's all I'm saying. And also, the lack of self-awareness and beauty blindness doesn't just apply to plastic surgery, ladies. Because I see a lot of y'all black women talking shit about Glorilla and other black women who get nose jobs, but a lot of y'all are contouring your noses and faces to the point where you look masculine. Or we never see your natural hair because it's always under a 40-inch bust down that looks nothing like your real hair texture. The baby hairs, the eyelashes, they don't look realistic either. And of course, baby hairs, eyelashes, hair, that's not as drastic as a nose job. But if you're gonna be talking shit online, on TikTok and these other places about women being self-hating, but you have, the fake hair, the lace fronts, and then I look at your page and that's all you ever have on your social media, you lack awareness too. And you're not as self-loving as you claim to be. And you got work to do on yourself, just like women like Glorilla. And it's okay to admit that. And I don't think many of you realize that all of your unrealistic modifications are taking away from your beauty, not adding to it. A lot of y'all think that you're enhancing your beauty when you're actually downplaying it. And some of y'all, you're even making yourselves look like drag queens in a very bad way. And you think you out here looking good, but you really look like a try-hard. And unfortunately, I've seen a lot of that lately with the black women online who look unambiguous but claim to be mixed. and they're attempting to make themselves superior to unambiguous dark-skinned Black women because of this level of ambiguity that they don't even have, that isn't even there. Again, it's a severe lack of self-awareness and feature blindness. And then they got the nerve to preach to unambiguous dark-skinned women about self-love. Like, are you serious? Like, it's just a deep sickness. So I really do wish healing to the Black women who are suffering from what seems to be a form of body dysmorphia and, again, feature blindness and surgery blindness. And something else I wanted to touch on is the people who are blaming Black women for Glorilla wanting to change her nose. Because supposedly Black women have been teasing Glorilla for having a big nose on social media. And I don't know if that's true, but I don't doubt it. But if it is true, what happened to all the talking points that are thrown at unambiguous dark-skinned women? Because anytime we lighten our skin due to getting bullied for our skin tone, we barely get any sympathy or context to why we made that decision. We're always told to suck it up and get some self-esteem and be confident and don't worry about what other people say. And we're shamed for internalizing the colorist insults to the point we feel we need to change our appearance. We're shamed for that. We're told that nobody owes us anything. Nobody owes us a compliment. Nobody owes it to us to make us feel good. We're told that we got to get all of that self-esteem and self-confidence on our own and from ourselves. But when it comes to Glorilla, it's up to Black women to uplift her and make her feel good about her nose. So ladies, do you see how it's up to us to instill self-love into everybody else, but nobody is required to give that back to us in return? And this is why y'all shouldn't take the communitas seriously, especially if you're an unambiguous dark-skinned Black woman. And honestly, most of this stuff doesn't even matter when you get out of Blackistan and when you just rid yourself of the Blackistan mindset. You won't think that you have to shave your nose off and pinch your nose together and put on a 40-inch bust down and glue these baby hairs to your forehead to feel beautiful when you get rid of that Blackistan mindset. Because the reality is that many Black women modify their appearance to look more attractive to Black men and men in general. Because let's be real, if Black men found wide noses like Glorilla's attractive, it wouldn't matter what Black women said about them. If Black men found 4C natural hair attractive, Black women would be wearing their hair out more instead of wigs. If Black men didn't like fat asses, Black women wouldn't be getting BBLs like that. And it don't matter how much y'all say BBLs smell bad, men are still gonna flock to women who have them. And y'all can jump in the comments and say that they don't find all of that attractive, but look at the women they flock to on social media. Look at all the women they made rich on OF. Most of those women have had some sort of work done on their bodies or on their faces. Now, a lot of men may not want to marry those women and bring them home to mama, but you better believe that those men are still watching them and rubbing one out to them when their girlfriends and wives are asleep or out of town. Those girlies are getting views from somebody, and it's not just single men. I keep telling y'all to go by men's actions and not what they say. They love those women. And that's why most of these female celebrities are getting work done to appeal to the male gaze. And as we can see, it's not just unambiguous dark-skinned women who want outside validation or attention for their looks or attention from men. It's all complexions of women. It's all races of women. So we are not the only ones who are quote unquote male-centered like some of these people online would have you to believe. And I'm not saying that women should keep bullying other women for how they look or get a pass for that. We definitely need to do better. But a lot of y'all women are not putting the blame where it belongs. And the blame mostly goes to men and the beauty standards that they have created and placed on women. Now, women do follow those beauty standards and we uphold those beauty standards, but men are primarily responsible for creating them. So most of the time, women are getting surgeries and body modifications to appeal to them. So let's be honest about that in these conversations. And obviously, I'm not against all beauty standards. Y'all know I'm all about being at a healthy weight, being healthy in that regard, playing up your beauty, playing up your femininity first and foremost for you. And to some extent, it's normal. We all want to look good for the opposite sex. Most of us do. But it becomes a problem when it gets extreme. And I'm sure I'll talk more about this in other videos, but I am done for now. Let me know what you think about this topic in the comments. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch up with you in the next video.